scared for my life that my camera will fall off the tower I've made tripoddy. Anyway, so this video is obviously, as you can see from the title, tips on how to get a job. Now, this might sound weird, but it's basically for students, anyone over 16 looking for a job. You can be younger, but that's a different situation. So basically, since the age of 16, I've had many jobs, and so I just thought I would give you a few tips on how to get a job and what sort of jobs you can get. Here we go, let's get to the video. Firstly, obviously 16 is the age that big companies will employ you. I believe you can do apprenticeships or internships sort of things younger, and you can work. I know people work like friends and families, businesses and stuff. People do employ people under 16, but I'm just talking in general in England. As a general thing, I'm gonna go from like the age of 16. So the age of 16, I had my first job at Home Bargains. Now, you may have heard of it if you're in England. If you're not, it's basically like a discount shop. So I started there when I was 16. I basically just applied on websites. There's different websites, like a jobs website, there's like Reed, Indeed, cheeky, and loads of other websites where you can just find a job online. You put jobs and you put your location and you find them. This was a part-time job as I was still at sixth form, just getting a bit more money, and I worked at the weekends every Saturday and Sunday. And yeah, so I applied online, got an interview, then went to the interview and got the job and started there. And that was when the shop was just opening. So the shop opened and I was the first batch of staff, if you like, and we opened the shop. So they were hiring a lot of people, so that's good advice. So that's a good point if you know there's a big shop brand you opening, they're going to hire a lot more people than usual because they need staff to help, you know, put out the startup stock, like completely start the shop up really. So they always hire more, but it's good to get started and to get a job if you know a shop's opening near you, to apply there because you're more likely to get that job. If you're interested in retail and stuff, or if restaurants are opening, popping in your CV, etc, etc. So before that I did have a job. My mum had a cafe, so I worked at the cafe when I was like 15, around that time. But obviously, like I said, that because I was pre-16, that was just a family thing, so I could work there. For stuff like restaurants, like I said, waitressing, waitering, waiters in general, you can, as well as retail actually, for smaller shops. I feel like they take it more in smaller shops, independent sort of shops, than large chains where it's usually apply online and etc, etc. If you drop your CV in to restaurants you like, or you just think would be a good place to work, you want to work there, small independent shops always take CVs of people wanting to work part-time. So if you're about 16, 17, 18, then they're easy ways to get jobs because it's not a big interview process usually, so it's not too daunting or scary if it's your first job. So then I started working at a hotel restaurant, so front of house staff. That again, I applied online, then had interview, etc, etc. So I would say with an interview, my advice because this is how to get a job, is I found that there were quite a few jobs that you had to have experience in order to work there, but obviously when it's your first job you don't have experience. You need experience in order to get the experience to get the job, etc, etc. So that can be hard to get into. And so in the interview I think it's really important to, like, it's sometimes really simple stuff like at school, if you do like tutoring, or if you pick out a circumstance where you've shown like leadership skills, or even though in these jobs you're never leading, you're just doing the waitering, like you're just being a waiter, like you're not the manager, you're not applying to be the manager, you're literally applying to be a waiter. But they like to hear stories about where you're leading or worked well in a team. Sometimes you can literally, a piece of advice would be Google classic interview questions, because it will be like, name a circumstance where you were in a difficult situation and you got out of it, or you had a customer complaint and you dealt with it, or whatever. But because you haven't necessarily had a job, it can be in schools. Like, don't feel embarrassed to be like, oh, this happened at school and I solved it this way. Or it can be a family thing, this happened in my family life and I dealt with it in this way. Or I was doing my GCSEs but I was also doing a paper round. Like, they're showing like skills and how you're going out there and being, you can just use loads of different examples. It doesn't have to be from a previous job. So that's a piece of advice I would say. Don't be put off because, oh, I've never had a job, like I won't be able to say anything. You will. You've had life experience. You've had experience in, you know, living day to day. Things come up. It's not always around the job. You know, you might miss your bus. How are you going to solve that situation? It's all about problem solving and like showing that you have a mind, which we all do. So it is a little bit ridiculous because we're all, you know, everyone's got the capabilities to solve some situation. But yeah, just thinking of stuff like that. I would say don't lie. I mean, they're probably not going to check, but it's just like, just keeping your integrity and stuff like this, because you never know what will come back and bite you in the bottom. So I would think of a situation that's real, but also always go into an interview with these sort of things. So with a situation where there was a problem and you solved it, or with your greatest achievement. And also on that, your greatest achievement can be something small. It doesn't have to be, I climbed Mount Everest and saved 100 people's lives. So it doesn't have to be that. There will be people going in there with like these elaborate stories, which may be true, maybe not true. But sometimes going in with something small, but that either meant something to you, or they're just trying to show that you're a human being and that you can acknowledge achievements and, you know, you have achieved something in your life. So even like I got a B in history, and I didn't like history at GCSE, but I tried really hard, and I put the fact that I didn't like history behind me, and I thought I'm just going to strive, and I did my best and I got a B, and that's my greatest achievement, you know, something like that. As long as you big it up to be something important to you, then you are sorted. Now this video is dragging, so I'm going to get into the next thing, which is temp jobs. Now before I met my boyfriend, I'd heard of temp jobs. I thought that was for like older ladies or mums that just needed some quick cash. I don't know why. I don't know why I had that opinion. I don't know. So temp jobs are great if you're a student, if you're like me, if you're an actor, if you're any sort of creative job really, singer, performer, any sort, well not, it doesn't have to be creative, any job where you might be in between jobs, it's perfect for you. Or you're young and you just want a little bit of experience in a job, but you don't want to commit to, you know, you're not going to be there forever because maybe you're going to uni, you're moving, you know, any sort of situation temp jobs can suit. So all I did was I took my CV in. Basically I popped all the jobs I'd done. If you hadn't done jobs, just like school achievements, anything that could link to skills. So for example, I went for admin work, admin, secretarial, receptionist jobs, because and then they just pick apart. So I'll start from the beginning. I'm jumping to the next step. So I went into this temp agency. Like most towns have one. My town's quite small. I have like 2 or 3 temp agencies. You literally turn up, you look quite smart, just for first impressions really. You take in your CV, you say I'm looking for temp work from this period to this period. I'm interested in sort of whatever you're interested in, so like something more creative. You can even do like waitering, waitressing. I really don't need know the term on that, because actors, actress, we just have actors now. Is waiters and waitresses just waiters? I think it is. So any sort of industry, you can say what you're looking for, and they might be like, oh, sorry, we don't deal with that, or yes we do, or etc, etc. So you basically drop your CV in, have a face-to-face, say I'm interested in this work, someone will contact you, and basically then they called me in. I had a one-to-one meeting with somebody, and they just went through my CV and highlighted all the points that would be useful for them to take from my CV, so that they can give to employers that need temporary jobs, to sort of sell me in a way to them. And so I had something on my CV like I worked at this studio, and they were like, okay, what did you do? Did you answer phones? Did you do any filing? I was like, a tiny bit of that. And they were like, okay, we're going to really draw on that and say you did admin work for the studio. Not really lying, just developing it more, just picking out those bits. So I did actually answer telephones, and I took calls, and I did actually do a bit of filing. So therefore I have experience in receptionist work, filing, admin-y sort of work. So they sort of draw things from your CV in order to present it to the company that are looking for temporary workers. So straight away that week, then I got a call a couple of days later saying we've got a job here, etc, etc. This is the pay. It's for this length of time, so sometimes it can be like 3 weeks. So I had 3 weeks work. That was great for me because temp, usually you get a little bit more than minimum wage as well, so it's a good wage. It may only be for 3 weeks, but that little bit of money for 3 weeks, and then you can move on to something else. It's good if you like change in your job, and it's good if you only have a certain amount of time. And you can say what dates you're free till. So for example, when I was back from uni, I'd be like, oh, I'm free for this 3 months, like whatever work comes up, let me know. And they literally just give you a call, say what the job is, what it entails, how much you're going to get paid. You say yes or no, and the good thing is you can say yes or no. It's very important. Like some jobs, I was getting offers jobs which were far away from me. I wasn't driving at the time. My dad would have to drop me off, and it wasn't financially benefiting me to do the job. It was like just above minimum wage, and the time of petrol he would have been spending dropping me there and back, it wasn't financially viable. So I just said no to that one. I said, I'm really sorry, I can't do that one. If you find anything closer, let me know. And then no hard feelings, a week later, you know, they call me again, they've got something else for me. So it's very handy in that respect. It's really flexible. But obviously once you're in that job, you do have to do it. It's not as if you can be like, they are flexible, like I said, but you can't start a job one day and just be like, nope, I'm done. You do sort of have to commit because it's temporary. It's only a few weeks. You can push through. I mean, once I had a terrible job, which was literally, I wanted to jump out the window because it was just looking at numbers like 476, that pile, 478, that pile, etc, etc, for 8 hours a day. But the pay was good. It was only temporary, and I pushed through, and I made money out of it, and that's the most important thing in regards to a temporary job. In another job, in a long-term job, you want to enjoy yourself. But yeah. So that is my tips on temporary jobs and starting for jobs when you're younger. Yeah, I have had so many jobs. Also temp jobs, you can also do like seasonal. So obviously places like Next, I worked at HMV, all big like department stores like that. Seasonal work is so popular. So if you're back for the Christmas period from uni, or if just in general you just want work over the Christmas period, to get you some money in whilst you're working on other things or other projects or whatever, and you can work for about 6 weeks over the Christmas period and then stop the job and then move on. It is early starts, but like I said, sometimes it is higher pay when it's Christmas work, just because they are desperate to get people in, and it is only temporary, so they're not paying that amount of money for a long period of time to their staff. So, and it is early mornings and stuff usually, in places like Next, which do Christmas sales and stuff. Anyway, I am rambling. So that is my advice on temp jobs and starting out with your first job, getting jobs, etc, etc. Any questions about jobs, let me know, as I have had many jobs. At the moment I have 2 jobs alone. Like I work 7 days a week. Somebody stop me. That's because London rent. But also I'm thinking about doing a vlog about how to find a place to rent in London, or like costs and my advice on that, as I moved to London 6 months ago, and now I rent a place in North London. So let me know if you want to see anything about that. If you have any questions about jobs, let me know in the comments. If you like this video or found anything helpful about it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you next time.